Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving straight into the deep end, exploring the physics-defying anomalies, the ancient legends, and the honestly chilling prophecies of the Jagannath Puri Temple. This isn't just some historical monument we're talking about. It's a place where modern science just kind of falls silent, and pure, raw faith takes the wheel. We're going to unpack the profound spiritual significance of this site, dig into the wild mysteries of its miraculous kitchen, and look closely at 500-year-old prophecies that a lot of people believe are unfolding right now, right in front of our eyes. So picture this. The year is 1558. The notorious Afghan general Balabhadra, who was widely known for his sheer ruthlessness, is marching his forces straight toward the Puri Temple. His only goal? To wipe it off the map. But, according to historical legend, as his army got close to the inner sanctum, a terrifying, unexplained blackout just swallowed the entire area. The sky went completely pitch black, and this blinding protective light suddenly burst from within the temple itself. The sheer terror of this phenomenon actually caused soldiers to faint on the spot, and the entire army retreated without swinging a single sword.
But hey, you don't even need to step foot inside to see things that completely break the rules of physics. Right out in the temple's outer courtyard, we run into anomalies that still have modern scientists scratching their heads. For one, the temple flag boldly flies in the exact opposite direction of the wind. I mean, how does that even happen? Also, no birds ever sit on the temple dome. Zero. And no airplanes or helicopters will fly over it. Oh, and speaking of that flag, there's an 800-year-old tradition that says it absolutely must be changed every single day. Legend has it, if they miss this ritual for even one day, the temple will be forced to shut down for 18 years.
And if you look way up at the very top of the temple, you'll see this massive engineering marvel called the Sudarshan Chakra. It was designed centuries ago using what we'd call today an artificial illusion. Basically, no matter where you're standing in the city of Puri, when you look up at that chakra, it always looks like it's facing you directly. How ancient builders managed to hoist a metal structure that huge and engineer such a flawless visual trick? Yeah, modern science still has absolutely no explanation for it.
Now, as we actually walk up to the main entrance, you're faced with 22 stairs. But there is a massive catch. You have to avoid the dreaded third step. It's known as Yama step. The lore here is super fascinating. It's said that Yama, the Lord of Death, actually complained that anyone visiting this temple was instantly getting cleansed of their sins, which left his realm totally empty. So, in response, he was given this one specific step. The belief is that if your foot touches it, all the good karma you've built up over your life is instantly wiped out.
Okay, let's head into the kitchen because this perfectly illustrates just how much this temple defies basic logic. Welcome to the world's largest, most mysterious kitchen. Here they cook food in 7 clay pots, stacked right on top of each other over a traditional wood fire. Now, the laws of thermodynamics dictate that the bottom pot, the one right next to the flames, should obviously cook first, right? Well, miraculously, the food in the very top pot cooks first, and the bottom one actually cooks last. It makes absolutely no scientific sense.
And to put the sheer scale of this operation into perspective, it's just mind-bending. Using only those traditional wood fires, no modern gas stoves at all, the temple preps enough food to feed anywhere from 50,000 to 200,000 people every single day. And yet, they somehow perfectly nail the amounts. Not a single grain of food is ever wasted, and they never run short. But the weirdest part? In a massive kitchen with over 500 cooks handling actual mountains of vegetables and spices all day, there's no smell. None. And there are absolutely no flies anywhere.
But, the absolute deepest mystery of Jagannath Puri? That happens right in the inner sanctum during a highly guarded ritual called the Navakalavara. This happens once every 12 years, and it's the ceremony where the wooden idols of the deities are finally replaced. The whole thing is treated with absolute strict secrecy. When they do the transfer at midnight, the entire city of Puri gets plunged into a complete, total blackout. The power is cut, and a strict curfew is enforced. So during this pitch-black darkness, surrounded by heavy CRPF security, a group of specially chosen priests carry out a pretty terrifying task. They are completely blindfolded and have to wear these super thick gloves to transfer something known as the Brahm Padarth from the old idols into the new ones. According to ancient scripture, this object is literally the indestructible surviving heart of Lord Krishna. And the lore states that whoever lays their bare eyes upon it will die instantly, which is exactly why the priest's eyes and hands are completely wrapped up.
Now, even though looking at it is strictly forbidden, an eyewitness from about 50 years ago claimed they actually caught a glimpse of this thing, and their description is wild. They said it looked like a mysterious substance flowing like liquid silver. They also noted that it intensely vibrates and actually starts spinning rapidly when it's exposed to light, which suddenly makes that whole citywide blackout make a lot of sense, right? This crazy vibrating energy is actually said to weaken the wooden idols from the inside out, making that 12-year replacement ritual a structural necessity.
So what is actually inside those idols? The duality here is just fascinating. On one hand, you have millions of devotees who revere this as the living, beating heart of the divine. But on the other hand, researchers like Praveen Mohan impartially theorize that it could actually be an ancient piece of technology. He compares it to something like an arc reactor, putting out extreme electromagnetic energy. If you look at it from that angle, the wood of the idols acts as a perfectly non-conductive insulator to safely contain that immense power.
Let's rewind the clock a bit and see where this all actually started. According to the texts, this goes back about 5,000 years. After the Mahabharata war, Lord Krishna passed away and was cremated. But while his body returned to the elements, his glowing, beating heart remained entirely unburned. It was placed on a wooden plank and ended up floating down a river all the way to the coast of Odisha. A local tribal chief found it and secretly worshipped it until, generations later, a deeply devoted ruler named King Indradumna saw the idol in a dream, tracked it down, and basically laid the foundation for the temple we see today.
And honestly, the story of how they created the idols to house this heart, just as epic. King Indradumna hired this mysterious elderly sculptor, who many believe was actually the divine architect Lord Vishwakarma in disguise, to carve the idols from a sacred floating tree. The sculptor's one condition? He needed exactly 21 days in a locked room, completely undisturbed. But after 15 days, the sounds of his hammer and chisel just stopped. The king panicked, broke the pact, and threw open the door early. Bam! The sculpture vanished into thin air, leaving the idols entirely incomplete, without any distinct hands or feet. And that is exactly how they are worshipped to this very day. But listen, this temple isn't just a giant vault for past legends. It is intimately tied to our present and our future through something called the Bhavishamalika. This is a 500-year-old text written by the visionary saint Achyutananda. It's packed with prophecies about the end of the Kali Yuga, which is the current dark age of humanity that we're supposedly in right now. And what makes this text so incredibly relevant for us today is just how startlingly accurate its predictions seem to be when you look at recent global events. Take this famous line, for example. It roughly translates to, "Many diseases will come, a great disease will spread, and people will be locked in their homes, unable to step outside." Sound familiar? I mean, a ton of scholars and devotees look at that specific 500-year-old warning and immediately link it to the 2020 COVID-19 pandemic and the unprecedented global lockdowns that shut the world down. The resemblance is hard to ignore. And it definitely doesn't stop there. Recent eerie omens that were specifically described in the text have been coming true in really quick succession. The Bhavishamalika warned of certain signs at the temple itself that would signal the approaching end of times. And the pace of these events lately is staggering. In March 2020, the temple's sacred flag mysteriously caught on fire. By July 2020, birds, specifically vultures and eagles, were seen just hanging out on that previously unapproachable dome. And right before all that, in May 2019, the Sudarshan chakra, the one that's supposed to be indestructible, was actually bent by this severe cyclone Fani.
You know, throughout history, outsiders have constantly tried to challenge the immense cultural and spiritual power of this temple. Actually, the Bhavishamalika even predicted that foreigners would try to shut it down. That tension boiled over in the early 19th century when the British took control of the region. They completely failed to grasp the magnitude of the devotees' faith, labeled the whole thing as irrational superstition, and in 1806, they tried to officially suppress it by banning the massive chariot festival, the Rath Yatra.
Wow, the British severely underestimated the people. That ban sparked massive, entirely uncontrollable public rebellion. Millions of people flooded the streets, and citizens just started building the grand chariots themselves. They basically sent a bold message to the empire saying, if God won't move, neither will we. And it worked. The sheer unstoppable force of that mass devotion was just too much for the British administration. They were forced to reverse the ban and step away from the temple's internal affairs permanently. So when you put it all together,
From kitchens that completely ignore the laws of thermodynamics and artificially illusion chakras to 500-year-old prophecies and this invincible raw faith, the Jagannath Puri Temple constantly blurs that line between empirical science and pure devotion. It stands as this profound reminder that, hey, there are still phenomena out there in our world that just cannot be measured by a ruler or easily explained away by a textbook. So, as we wrap up our explainer of this incredible source material, I want to leave you with a final thought. Just look at the impossible events unfolding at Puri, the eerie, spot-on accuracy of those 500-year-old prophecies, and the completely unexplainable energy of the Brahmpadarth. Are these all just a string of weird coincidences? Or are we witnessing a meticulously laid-out divine roadmap, one that might just be signaling the arrival of the final Kalki avatar, exactly as the ancient texts suggest? It's a question that really challenges everything we think we know. Thank you so much for joining me today. Keep questioning, keep learning, and I'll see you next time.